The rain fell like bullets on the Seoul streets, turning the neon signs into bleeding colors across black asphalt. Kang Ji-hoon sat in the back of his armored Mercedes S-Class, watching the city blur past his tinted windows. His fingers drummed once, just once, against his knee, the only tell of his impatience. "Boss, we're approaching the warehouse district," his driver Min Seo said quietly. Ji-hoon didn't respond. He never wasted words. At 34, he had built an empire that made politicians nervous and rival syndicates disappear. The Kang family didn't just control Seoul's underworld, they were the underworld. Hotels, nightclubs, shipping companies, construction firms, all fronts, all profitable, all soaked in blood money that had been laundered so clean it sparkled. He wore a black Tom Ford suit that cost more than most people's cars. His dark hair pushed back from a face that could have belonged to a model if it weren't for the scar that traced from his left eyebrow to his cheekbone, a reminder from his father that weakness was unacceptable. The tattoo of a dragon curled up his neck, barely visible above his collar. Its head rested behind his ear, mouth open in eternal rage. "There's something ahead, boss." Ji-hoon's eyes snapped forward. Through the rain-streaked windshield, he saw a small figure stumbling into the middle of the road. A child. "Stop the car." Min Seo hit the brakes. The Mercedes came to a smooth halt, engine purring like a satisfied predator. The child, a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, stood in the headlights, soaked to the bone. Her yellow raincoat was torn, mud splattered across her face. But it was her eyes that made Ji-hoon's jaw tighten. Pure, raw terror. She ran toward the car, small fists pounding against the hood. "Please, please, you have to help." Her voice was hoarse, broken from screaming. "They hung my mom on a tree. She's dying, please." Ji-hoon's door opened before Min Seo could move. He stepped out into the rain, 6'3" of lethal calm. The water soaked through his jacket immediately, but he didn't care. The little girl grabbed his hand with both of hers, her tiny fingers ice cold. "Please, mister, she can't breathe." They put a rope around her neck and her words dissolved into sobs. Ji-hoon crouched down, bringing himself to her eye level. His voice was quiet, dangerous. "Where?" She pointed toward the darkness beyond the streetlights, toward the abandoned industrial park that had been rotting at the edge of Seoul for a decade. "How many men?" 5. Maybe 6. They had guns. They hurt my mom because she wouldn't—" The girl's voice cracked. "She wouldn't give them something." Ji-hoon stood. He looked at Min Seo, who had exited the driver's seat, hand already inside his jacket where his Glock rested. "Get Taemin and the others, now." Min Seo pulled out his phone. 3 minutes. That's how long it would take for Ji-hoon's enforcement team to arrive. But the little girl was pulling his hand, her nails digging into his palm. "She doesn't have 3 minutes, please." Something in her desperation, something in the way she looked at him like he was her only salvation, made Ji-hoon's cold heart crack just slightly. He'd seen that look before. In his own mother's eyes, 20 years ago, before his father put a bullet in her head for the crime of loving someone else. "Show me," he said. The girl took off running, and Ji-hoon followed, Min Seo close behind. They moved through the rain, past rusted chain-link fences and graffitied walls, into a wasteland of broken concrete and shattered glass. Then he heard it, choking, desperate, wet gasping. They rounded a corner and Ji-hoon stopped. A woman hung from an old oak tree, rope tight around her neck, her feet barely touching a crate beneath her. Her hands clawed at the rope, face purple, eyes bulging. She was still alive, but not for long. 5 men stood around her in a semicircle, laughing, smoking. One of them kicked the crate, making it wobble. The woman's legs thrashed. "Mom!" The little girl screamed and tried to run forward. Ji-hoon's hand shot out, catching her by the shoulder. "Stay behind me." His voice was so cold it could have frozen the rain. The men turned. The laughter died. "Who the fuck are you?" The biggest one, shaved head, prison tattoos covering his neck, took a step forward. He had a gun tucked into his waistband. Ji-hoon didn't answer. He walked forward with the slow, measured pace of a man who had never feared anything in his life. "I said, who the fuck?" "You have 5 seconds to cut her down," Ji-hoon said quietly. The men looked at each other. Then they laughed again. "You lost, friend. This is serpent territory. You're about to—" Ji-hoon moved. One moment he was standing still. The next, his fist connected with the big man's throat, crushing his windpipe. The man dropped, choking, gun clattering to the wet ground. The other 4 reached for their weapons. Minseo shot the first one in the kneecap. The scream echoed off the concrete. Ji-hoon grabbed the second man by the face and slammed his head into the oak tree. Bone cracked. The man crumpled. The third pulled a knife. Ji-hoon caught his wrist, twisted until something snapped, and drove the man's own blade between his ribs. The fourth and fifth tried to run. 2 shots from Min Seo's Glock. Both dropped face first into the mud. 15 seconds. That's how long it took to eliminate 5 men. Ji-hoon strode to the tree and lifted the woman, taking the weight off the rope. Cut it. Min Seo sliced through the rope with his tactical knife. The woman collapsed into Ji-hoon's arms, coughing, gasping, hands still clawing at her throat where the rope had burned into her skin. "Mom, Mommy!" The little girl ran forward, tears streaming down her face. Ji-hoon lowered the woman to the ground carefully. She was black, maybe 30, with natural curls matted to her head, and a face that would have been beautiful if it weren't swollen and bleeding. She wore the torn remains of a nursing student uniform. Her eyes found his, brown, wide, terrified but alive. "Thank you," she choked out, voice shredded. "Thank you, oh God. Who did this to you?" Ji-hoon's voice was soft, but his eyes were murderous. "The serpents," she gasped. They wanted my research. I work at Seoul National University Hospital. Genetics research. They tried to force me to." She broke into coughing, blood flecking her lips. "Don't talk." Ji-hoon looked at Minso. "Call Dr. Yoon. Tell him to have the trauma bay ready at the private wing." "I can't afford," the woman started. "You're not paying." Ji-hoon's tone left no room for argument. The sound of engines approached. 3 black SUVs pulled up, and 8 men in dark suits emerged, weapons drawn. "Boss?" Taemin. Ji-hoon's second-in-command approached. He glanced at the bodies, the hanging rope, the woman and child. His expression didn't change. He'd seen worse. "Clean this up," Ji-hoon ordered. "Find out who sent them. I want names, addresses, and family trees by morning." "Yes, boss." Ji-hoon turned back to the woman. She was trying to sit up, trying to pull her daughter close. The little girl buried her face in her mother's chest, sobbing. "What's your name?" Ji-hoon asked. The woman's eyes met his. Even in pain, even terrified, there was strength there, fire. "Maya," she whispered. "Maya Johnson, and this is Amara." "Maya." He said her name like he was tasting it. "You're coming with me." "I don't even know who you are." "Kang Ji-hoon." The color drained from Maya's face. Even half-conscious, hanging on by a thread, she knew that name. Everyone in Seoul knew that name. The most dangerous man in the city had just saved her life. And Maya Johnson, nursing student and single mother, had no idea that she'd just become the most valuable and most endangered woman in Seoul's underworld. Maya woke to the smell of antiseptic and expensive cologne. Her throat burned. Every breath felt like swallowing glass. She tried to move, and pain radiated through her neck and shoulders. "Don't." A voice, deep, familiar. Her eyes opened, white ceiling, soft lighting, the gentle beep of medical equipment. This wasn't a hospital room. She turned her head slowly, carefully, and saw him. Kang Ji-hoon sat in a leather chair by the window, one leg crossed over the other, a glass of whiskey in his hand. Dawn light filtered through floor-to-ceiling windows behind him, painting Seoul's skyline in shades of gold and pink. He wore different clothes now. Black slacks, white dress shirt unbuttoned at the collar, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms covered in more tattoos. The dragon on his neck seemed to move in the shifting light. He was, objectively, the most beautiful man Maya had ever seen. And the most terrifying. "Where's Amara?" Her voice came out as a rasp. "Safe. Sleeping in the room next door. My housekeeper is watching her." Maya tried to sit up, failed. Ji-hoon was beside her in an instant, his hand on her shoulder, gentle but firm. "I said don't move. You have ligature marks on your neck and a concussion. Dr. Yoon said you're lucky to be alive." "Where am I?" "My penthouse, top floor of the Kang Tower." Of course, she was in the private residence of the most powerful crime lord in Seoul. In his bedroom, from the looks of it. "You should be in a hospital. Hospitals have records. Records have eyes. The people who tried to kill you will look there first." Ji-hoon's dark eyes bore into hers. "You're safer here. I need to call my advisor, my school." "Already done. You're on medical leave for a family emergency. Your apartment has been cleaned out, and your belongings moved to a secure location." Maya's heart hammered. "You can't just—" "I can." He said it simply, like he was stating the weather. "And I did. I didn't ask for this." "You didn't have to." Ji-hoon took a sip of his whiskey. Your daughter begged me to save you. I don't make a habit of letting children watch their mothers die." The bluntness of it hit Maya like a slap. She closed her eyes, remembering. The rope, the choking, Amara's screams. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did you help us?" Jihoon was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was softer, dangerous in a different way. "Because she reminded me of someone I couldn't save." Maya looked at him, really looked, past the expensive clothes and the cold exterior. She saw something in his eyes, grief, old and buried deep, but there. "Who?" "That's not your concern." The walls went back up. "What is your concern is staying alive. The serpents don't give up easily. If they want your research badly enough to kill you for it, they'll come again. My research isn't even finished." "What is it?" Maya hesitated. But what did it matter now? He'd saved her life. He'd brought her to his home. And something told her that lying to Kang Ji-hoon would be the last mistake she ever made. "Gene therapy for hereditary diseases," she said quietly. "Specifically for conditions that affect East Asian populations. Hemoglobin disorders, certain cancers. I developed a CRISPR technique that could—" She stopped at the blank look on his face. "I created a way to fix broken DNA, and the serpents want it. I don't know why. Maybe to sell it. Maybe someone hired them to steal it or destroy it." Maya's hand went to her throat, feeling the bandages. "They didn't give me time to ask questions. They won't get another chance." The certainty in his voice should have comforted her. Instead, it sent a chill down her spine. "What are you going to do?" Jihoon stood, walking back to the window. Seoul sprawled beneath him like a kingdom. His kingdom. "Find out who sent them. Make sure they understand that you're under my protection, and ensure it never happens again. I'm not some damsel who needs—" "Yes, you are." He turned to face her. "Right now you are exactly that. You have a target on your back, a child to protect, and no resources to fight back. So you have two choices, Maya Johnson. Accept my help and live, or refuse and watch your daughter become an orphan." The words were cruel, true, devastating. Maya's hands clenched in the silk sheets. "I can't afford whatever price you're going to demand for this." Something flickered across Jihoon's face, almost like amusement. "I haven't named my price yet. There's always a price." "Smart woman." He moved closer, standing at the edge of the bed. Close enough that Maya could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive, cedar and smoke. "But not the price you're thinking." "Then what?" "Your research. I want to know everything about it. Who else knows, what it's worth, and who benefits most from its destruction or theft." "Why?" "Because knowledge is power. And right now, someone powerful wants you dead." Jihoon's eyes locked on hers. "I don't like mysteries in my city." Maya swallowed, wincing at the pain. "And when you solve your mystery, what happens to me and Amara?" "That depends." "On what?" Jihoon leaned down, bracing one hand on the headboard above her. His face was inches from hers, his voice a low rumble that Maya felt in her bones. "On whether you're more useful to me alive than the people who want you dead." Her breath caught. This close, she could see flecks of amber in his dark eyes, could see the faint stubble on his jaw, could feel the heat radiating from his body. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm being honest with you. Most people don't get that courtesy." "Lucky me," Maya said, and there was acid in her rasp of a voice. Jihoon's lips curved, not quite a smile, something more dangerous. "Yes," he said softly, "lucky you." He pushed off the bed and walked to the door. "Dr. Yoon will check on you in an hour. If you need anything, press the button on the nightstand. Someone will come." "Wait." He paused, hand on the doorknob. "What do I tell Amara? About where we are? About you?" Jihoon considered this. "Tell her the truth, that I'm keeping you safe. Children understand honesty better than adults. And when she asks if you're a good man or a bad man," his eyes went cold again. Empty. "Tell her I'm neither. I'm just the only man who can keep her mother alive." Then he was gone, the door closing with a soft click. Maya lay back against the pillows, staring at the ceiling. Her throat ached. Her whole body ached. But it was her heart that hurt most, this sudden, terrifying awareness that her life had just changed forever. She'd entered the world of Kang Ji-hoon, and she had a feeling she'd never escape. Amara refused to leave her mother's side. For 3 days, the little girl sat in a chair next to Maya's bed, coloring in books that Ji-hoon's housekeeper, a grandmother woman named Mrs. Choi, brought her. She ate meals there, slept there, curled up in the chair with a blanket. Every time Maya tried to convince her to go play in the other room, Amara's eyes would fill with tears. "What if the bad men come back?" she whispered. "What if they take you again?" Maya's heart broke a little more each time. On the fourth day, Dr. Yoon cleared Maya to walk around the penthouse. Her voice was returning, the bruises on her neck fading from purple to yellow-green. She could breathe without pain. She could also see the gilded cage she was in. The penthouse was obscene. 15,000 square feet of marble, glass, and modern art that probably cost more than Maya would make in her lifetime. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a 360-degree view of Seoul. The kitchen had appliances Maya didn't even recognize. There was a private gym, a library, an office with enough computer screens to run a small country, and guards. Always guards. Men in black suits with earpieces, stationed at every exit, every elevator, every stairwell. "You cannot leave, Miss Johnson," Mrs. Choi said gently when Maya tested the front door. "Boss's orders, for your safety. I'm a prisoner. You're protected. There's a difference." Was there? Maya wasn't sure anymore. Ji-hoon himself was rarely there. He left before dawn, returned after midnight. When he was home, he shut himself in his office, speaking in rapid Korean on phone calls that made his voice drop to something lethal. But he always checked on Amara. Maya noticed it on the fifth day. She woke at 2 a.m. to get water and found Ji-hoon standing in the doorway of Amara's room, just watching the little girl sleep. The hallway light cast his face in shadow, but Maya saw his expression. Soft, broken, human. He didn't notice Maya. She retreated to her room before he could. On the sixth day, Amara built up the courage to approach him. Ji-hoon was having breakfast black coffee and a single piece of toast, which seemed to be all he ever ate when Amara shuffled into the kitchen. She wore pajamas with cartoon cats on them, her hair in two puffs that Mrs. Choi had helped her with. She walked right up to Ji-hoon and held out a piece of paper. "I made this for you," she said. Ji-hoon looked at the drawing. It showed 3 stick figures, a woman, a little girl, and a tall man with what appeared to be a dragon on his neck. They were holding hands. The sun was shining. There were flowers. "What is this?" His voice was gentler than Maya had ever heard it. "It's you, me, and Mommy, because you saved us, so you're family now." Something crossed Ji-hoon's face. Pain, longing, grief. He set down his coffee cup with careful precision. "I'm not family, Amara." "Yes, you are. Family helps each other. You helped us, so you're family." The simple logic of a 6-year-old, unassailable. Ji-hoon stared at the drawing for a long moment. Then he did something Maya never expected. He took the paper and carefully folded it, placing it in the inner pocket of his jacket, right over his heart. "Thank you," he said quietly. Amara beamed. Then, without warning, she threw her arms around his neck and hugged him. Ji-hoon went rigid. His hands hovered in the air, unsure. Maya watched from the doorway, holding her breath. Slowly, so slowly, Ji-hoon's hands came down. One rested on Amara's back, the other cradled her head. He closed his eyes. When Amara pulled away, she was smiling. "You give good hugs." "Go eat your breakfast," Ji-hoon said, his voice rough. Amara skipped to the table where Mrs. Choi had prepared pancakes. Ji-hoon stood, adjusted his tie, and walked past Maya without a word. But she saw it in his eyes. He was falling for her daughter, and that terrified Maya more than the serpents ever could. On the 7th day, Ji-hoon called Maya into his office. She found him standing behind a massive desk made of black walnut, computer screens glowing around him. Files were scattered across the surface. Photographs. Documents in Korean and English. "Sit," he said. Maya sat in the leather chair across from him. Her throat had healed enough that she could speak normally now, though her voice still carried a rasp. Ji-hoon slid a folder across the desk. "The serpents were hired," he said without preamble, "by a pharmaceutical company called Medicorp, based in Singapore, but their CEO is Korean. Lee Dong-min." Maya opened the folder. Inside were photos of a man in his 50s, balding, with cold eyes and a politician's smile. Articles about Medicorp's aggressive expansion into genetic research, and a timeline showing their attempts to acquire Maya's research through her university. "They wanted to buy your work legally first," Ji-hoon continued. "When that failed, they tried intimidation. When you refused to be intimidated, they escalated. To murder," Maya said softly. "To theft and elimination. They wanted your research and you gone so they could claim it as their own development." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened. They made a mistake. "What mistake?" They operated in my city without permission. They touched someone under my protection. Maya looked up. I wasn't under your protection when they first came after me. No, but you are now. The weight of those words settled over the room like a storm cloud. What are you going to do? Maya asked. I've already done it. Ji-hoon turned one of his monitors toward her. The screen showed a news article from 2 hours ago. Medicorp CEO Lee Dong-min found dead in apparent suicide. Maya's blood went cold. You killed him. I made it very clear that continuing their pursuit of you would be unprofitable. He chose not to listen. Ji-hoon's expression was carved from ice, so I eliminated the problem. That's murder. That's justice. He leaned forward, hands flat on the desk. He tried to have you killed, Maya. He sent men to hang you from a tree in front of your daughter. What did you expect me to do? File a police report? I expected, Maya's voice cracked. I don't know what I expected. You expected a hero. I'm not a hero. I'm a criminal who happens to have decided you're worth protecting. Ji-hoon's eyes burned into hers. And I protect what's mine. I'm not yours. Yes, you are. The certainty in his voice made Maya's heart race, fear or attraction she couldn't tell anymore. This can't be your life, she said desperately. Killing people, controlling everything. Don't you want something different? What I want is irrelevant. This is the life I was born into, the life I've built. And it's the life that's keeping you and Amara breathing. There has to be another way. There isn't. Ji-hoon's voice was final. Not for people like me, not for people in my world. Then let me leave it. Take Amara and go somewhere safe. There is nowhere safe. His fist slammed on the desk, making Maya flinch. Do you think Medicorp was the only one watching your research? Do you think other companies, other governments won't come for you the moment you step outside my protection? So what, I'm supposed to stay here forever? Be your prisoner? Your what exactly? Ji-hoon walked around the desk. He moved slowly, deliberately, like a predator circling prey. He stopped in front of Maya's chair, looking down at her. You're supposed to stay alive. You're supposed to let me dismantle every threat against you. And when it's safe? He paused. When it's safe, you can choose. Choose what? Whether to leave or stay. Maya's breath caught. And if I choose to leave? Something flickered in Ji-hoon's eyes, something almost like pain. Then I'll let you go. You're lying. I've never lied to you. It was true. Brutal, cruel, overwhelming, but always truthful. Maya stood, bringing herself closer to him. Close enough to see the faint scar on his eyebrow. Close enough to smell cedar and smoke. What do you want from me, Kang Ji-hoon? His hand came up, fingers ghosting along her jaw, not quite touching. The air between them crackled. I don't know yet, he said softly, and that terrifies me. Before Maya could respond, his phone buzzed. He stepped back, the moment shattered. He glanced at the screen and his expression hardened. We have a problem. What kind of problem? The kind where the serpents just kidnapped Amara. Maya's world stopped. Maya's scream could have shattered glass. Where is she? Ji-hoon was already moving, grabbing his jacket, pulling a gun from his desk drawer. Mrs. Choi took her to the park on the ground floor. 30 minutes ago. Security lost visual 3 minutes ago. 3 minutes? Why didn't you tell me? I'm telling you now. Ji-hoon's voice was deadly calm. Get your shoes. Stay close to me. Do exactly what I say. Maya's hands shook as she shoved her feet into sneakers. Amara, her baby, her little girl. If they hurt her, they won't. Ji-hoon grabbed her arm, pulling her toward the private elevator. She's leverage. They'll keep her alive to use her against me. Against you? This is about my research. This is about both. The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside. Ji-hoon pressed a button that required a fingerprint scan. The serpents are making a power play. Taking Amara sends a message. That I'm not untouchable. That my protection means nothing. The elevator descended in terrifying silence. Maya's mind raced. Amara, scared, crying, calling for her mother. I'll kill them, Maya whispered. I'll kill every single one of them. Ji-hoon looked at her, really looked at her. And for the first time since they met, he smiled. Cold, proud. Now you understand. The elevator opened onto an underground garage filled with armored vehicles and armed men. Taemin stood beside a black SUV, phone pressed to his ear. He looked grim. Boss, we have a location. They're holding her at the old textile factory in Dongdaemun. Cameras picked up the van 12 minutes ago. How many? Ji-hoon asked, checking his gun. At least 15, maybe more. Good. I was hoping for a challenge. Jihoon opened the SUV door. Maya, get in. I'm not staying in the car. You're staying exactly where I can see you, which means in the car. His eyes locked on hers. I can't protect both of you if you're running around. Trust me. Trust. Such a fragile word from a man built on violence. But Maya got in the car. The drive took 8 minutes. Jihoon made 4 phone calls, all in rapid Korean, his voice a weapon in itself. By the time they pulled up to the textile factory, there were 6 more SUVs behind them, 30 men, armed to the teeth, moving with military precision. Wait here, Jihoon told Maya. He assigned 2 guards to the vehicle. If anything goes wrong, they'll get you out. Jihoon. He paused, hand on the door. Bring her back, Maya whispered. Please. Something in her voice, the rawness, the desperation made Jihoon's expression soften just slightly. I will. Then he was gone, moving toward the factory with Taemin and his men. Maya watched through the tinted windows, heart hammering. The factory was 4 stories of broken windows and rusted metal. The perfect place for an ambush. The perfect place to die. Jihoon didn't hesitate. He walked through the front entrance like he owned it. Gunfire erupted. Maya screamed, but the guards held her back. Boss knows what he's doing, Miss Johnson. Did he? Or was he walking into a trap for her daughter? The firefight lasted 3 minutes. It sounded like a war. Glass shattering, men shouting, the rapid crack of automatic weapons. Then silence. Terrible, suffocating silence. Maya was about to force her way out of the SUV when she saw him. Jihoon emerged from the factory, jacket gone, white shirt splattered with blood. In his arms, wrapped in his suit jacket, was Amara. Maya threw open the door and ran. Amara, baby. The little girl's head lifted. Mommy. Jihoon handed her over carefully, and Maya collapsed to her knees, holding her daughter, checking for injuries. Amara was dirty, tear-stained, terrified but alive, whole. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? Baby, talk to me. The scary man saved me, Amara sobbed. He came in and all the bad men fell down and he picked me up and he told me he promised you he'd bring me back and he did, Mommy. He did. Maya looked up at Jihoon. He stood over them, gun still in hand, face expressionless. But his eyes held everything he couldn't say. She stood, Amara clinging to her, and did something insane. She kissed him. It was brief, desperate, grateful. Her lips pressed to his, tasting copper and smoke, and something fundamentally him. Jihoon froze. Then his free hand came up, cupping the back of her head, and he kissed her back. Hard, claiming. When they broke apart, his voice was rough. Get in the car. Maya did, buckling Amara into the seat. The little girl was already falling asleep, exhausted from terror and relief. Jihoon slid in beside them. He smelled like gunpowder and death. But when Amara unconsciously reached for his hand, he took it. Is it over? Maya asked. No. Jihoon's jaw tightened. But it will be. The Serpent King came to the penthouse 3 days later. His real name was Park Jae-sung, but everyone called him the Viper. He'd built the Serpent Syndicate from nothing, controlling drug routes from Busan to Beijing. Ruthless, connected, untouchable, until he touched Amara. Jihoon received him in his office. Maya wasn't supposed to be there, but she hid in the adjacent room, door cracked, listening. Kang. The Viper's voice was smooth, educated. This has gone too far. I agree. Jihoon's voice was ice. You took something of mine. That requires a response. The girl was returned unharmed, after I killed 15 of your men. A regrettable escalation. A pause. I'm here to offer peace. Pull your people back from the Dongdaemun district. Let us continue our business, and we'll forget this unpleasantness. No, the word was soft, final. You're willing to go to war over a woman and her child? A woman who's not even Korean? The Viper's contempt dripped through. They mean nothing. The sound of a gun cocking. Say that again. Jihoon's voice could have cut steel. Tell me they mean nothing. Jihoon, be reasonable. I am being reasonable. Reasonable would be mounting your head outside my building as a warning. Instead, I'm giving you a choice. Leave Seoul. Disband the Serpents. Retire to whatever hole you crawled out of, or I will burn your entire organization to the ground and make sure you watch every second of it. You don't have that kind of power, don't I? Jihoon laughed, and it was the cruelest sound Maya had ever heard. I know where your wife lives, your children, your mistress in Gangnam, your offshore accounts in the Caymans, your real estate in Dubai. your daughter's school schedule. Silence. You wouldn't try me. The threat hung in the air like a blade. This is about that woman, isn't it? The Viper's voice changed. Understanding. You care about her. What I care about is none of your concern. It is when it makes you weak, when it makes you reckless. The Viper leaned forward. Maya could hear the chair creak. Love is a liability in our world, Jihoon. You taught me that. What happened to the man who put a bullet in his own brother for betraying the family? He learned that some things are worth protecting, even at the cost of your empire. My empire is built on fear and respect. Letting you take what's mine destroys both. So yes, even at that cost. The Viper stood. Maya heard footsteps. You'll regret this. I already regret many things. This won't be one of them. The door opened, closed. Maya waited 5 minutes before entering Jihoon's office. He stood at the window, shoulders tight, hands clenched into fists. You heard, he said without turning. Yes. Then you know what's coming. War, blood, death. He finally looked at her. And it's all because of you. The words should have hurt. Instead, they felt like a confession. I didn't ask for this, Maya said quietly. No one ever does. Jihoon walked to his desk, poured 2 glasses of whiskey. He handed her one. But here we are. Maya took it. Her hand brushed his. Neither pulled away. Why? She asked. Why are you doing this? Amara and I were nothing to you. We're complications, liabilities. You could hand us over, end this. I could. Jihoon's eyes met hers, but I won't. Why not? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, because when I found you hanging from that tree, when I saw your daughter's face, I saw my mother. I saw myself. And I remembered what it felt like to be helpless. His voice dropped to a whisper. I swore I'd never be helpless again. That I'd never let anyone under my protection suffer the way I suffered. Your mother, Maya breathed. What happened to her? My father happened to her. He found out she'd fallen in love with another man. In our world, that's treason. So he made me watch as he put a gun to her head. Jihoon's eyes were distant, seeing the past. I was 14, she was begging, crying, looking at me like I could save her. But I couldn't. I was too weak, too small, too afraid. Jihoon, I'm not that boy anymore. He drained his whiskey in one swallow. I'm the monster my father created. And I use that monstrosity to protect the things I care about. Maya set down her glass and did something she knew was dangerous. She stepped close to him, close enough to feel his heat, and placed her hand over his heart. You're not a monster. Yes, I am. Monsters don't save little girls. Monsters don't keep their promises. Monsters don't, her voice caught. Monsters don't look at me the way you do. Jihoon's hand covered hers, pressing it harder against his chest. She could feel his heartbeat, fast and strong. How do I look at you? Like I'm something precious, something you're afraid to break. You are. His other hand came up, cupping her face. And I will break you, Maya. Being near me, loving me, it destroys everything good. Then why don't you let me go? Because I'm a selfish bastard who wants what he can't have. His thumb traced her lower lip. Because you make me feel human for the first time in 20 years. Because your daughter looks at me like I'm a hero, and I want to be that man even though I know I'm not. Jihoon. He kissed her, not like before, not grateful or desperate. This was claiming, consuming. His hand fisted in her hair, tilting her head back, and he kissed her like a man drowning and she was air. Maya melted into him, hands clutching his shirt, feeling the hard muscles beneath, the tattoos that covered stories he'd never tell. She tasted whiskey and want and something dark that should have scared her but didn't. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Jihoon's forehead rested against hers. Stay with me, he whispered, not because you have to, because you want to. It was the most vulnerable she'd ever heard him. Maya's answer was to kiss him again. 3 months later, Maya still couldn't quite believe this was her life. She woke in Jihoon's bed, their bed now, to the smell of coffee and the sound of Amara's laughter. She found them in the kitchen, Amara sitting on the counter while Jihoon attempted to make pancakes. They're supposed to be round, Amara giggled. They're roundish, Jihoon argued. That counts. They look like blobs. Blobs are a shape. Maya leaned against the doorframe, watching. The most dangerous man in Seoul, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt, arguing about pancake geometry with a 6-year-old. It was absurd, perfect, terrifying. Mommy, Amara spotted her. Jihoon is making breakfast. Well, trying to. I can see that. Maya walked over, wrapping her arms around Jaehoon from behind. He tensed for just a second, he always did, unused to casual affection, then relaxed into her touch. "Mrs. Choi usually does this," he muttered. "It's her day off. You volunteered, remember? I'm regretting that decision." Amara laughed, and the sound filled the penthouse with light. After breakfast, slightly burnt but edible pancakes, Amara went to play in her room. It was filled with toys Jihoon kept buying despite Maya's protests. The latest was a dollhouse that cost more than Maya's first car. "You're spoiling her," Maya said as they cleaned up. "She deserves to be spoiled. She deserves to be grounded in reality." Jihoon turned to face her, dish towel in hand. This is her reality now, safe, protected, loved. The last word hung between them. They hadn't said it yet, not explicitly, but it was there in every touch, every look, every moment like this. The war with the serpents is over. Jihoon set down the towel. The Viper left Seoul last week. His organization is fractured. The remaining cells have been absorbed or eliminated. "More blood on your hands." "Yes." He didn't flinch from it. "But not on yours. Never on yours." Maya sighed. They'd had this conversation before. She'd made peace with what Jihoon was, what he had to be in this world. That didn't mean she liked it. "I finished the research," she said quietly. "Dr. Yoon helped me secure a patent under a shell company. It's protected now." "Good. I could publish, help people. You could also paint a target on your back again. With you protecting me?" Jihoon's eyes darkened. "Even I can't stop everything, Maya. Governments, corporations, they have resources I don't. So I just, what? Hide my work forever?" "No." He stepped closer, hands settling on her waist. "You be strategic. You partner with organizations I've vetted. You let me build a security infrastructure around your research that makes it impossible to steal or sabotage. And you accept that this is the world we live in." "The world you live in. The world we live in." His grip tightened. "You chose this. You chose me. That comes with consequences." "I chose you because I love you," Maya said, and there it was. The words she'd been holding back for weeks. "I love you, Jihoon. Despite everything you are and everything you've done, I love you." His expression cracked. The ice melted, revealing the man underneath, broken, desperate, hers. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not," Maya smiled. "But you have me anyway." Jihoon kissed her, soft and reverent, like she was something holy. When they broke apart, his voice was rough. "I love you. I love Amara. I love this life we're building, even though it makes me vulnerable in ways that could destroy me." He cupped her face. "But I can't go back. I won't go back. So if you're staying for real. All in, no regrets." "All in," Maya echoed, "no regrets." "Mommy, Jihoon," Amara's voice called from her room. "Come see what I built." They found her sitting in the middle of a massive Lego construction, a castle with towers and walls and tiny Lego people. "This is the princess," Amara explained, pointing to a yellow-haired figure. "And this is the guard who protects her, a Lego man with a sword. And this is the dragon who's actually nice and helps them fight the bad guys." Jihoon crouched down, studying the creation seriously. "The dragon helps? Of course, dragons aren't always bad. Sometimes they're just misunderstood." Maya watched Jihoon's face, saw the moment he understood the metaphor, saw the way his throat worked as he swallowed emotion. "You're right," he said quietly. "Sometimes they are." Amara beamed and threw her arms around his neck. "I love you, Jihoon." He closed his eyes, holding her close. "I love you too, little one." Over Amara's head, his eyes met Maya's. In them she saw everything, the fear, the hope, the desperate, fragile dream that this could actually work, that they could be a family, that the monster could become a man. Maya smiled, nodded. "We'll make it work," her expression said. "Whatever it takes." And in that moment, in that penthouse high above Seoul, 3 broken souls became a family. The charity gala was in full swing. Seoul's elite filled the ballroom of the Kang Hotel, champagne flowing, diamonds glittering. On stage, Maya gave her speech about the gene therapy foundation she'd founded, funded by anonymous donors, Jihoon's shell companies, and partnered with hospitals across Asia. Jihoon watched from the shadows, as always. He wore a black tuxedo that cost obscene money, his hair styled back, dragon tattoo just visible above his collar. To everyone else, he was Kang Jihoon, legitimate businessman and philanthropist. Only Maya, and a select few, knew the truth. "She's magnificent," Taemin murmured beside him. Yes. Ji-hoon's eyes never left Maya. She wore a midnight blue gown that made her skin glow. Her natural curls swept up, her voice strong and clear as she talked about saving lives. His wife, his partner, his salvation. They'd married quietly 6 months ago, in a ceremony attended only by Mrs. Choi, Taemin, and Amara, who'd insisted on being the flower girl and ring bearer simultaneously. Threats? Ji-hoon asked. Minimal. 2 corporations tried to approach her last month. I made it clear what would happen if they tried again. Taemin smiled slightly. They withdrew their interest. Good. On stage, Maya finished her speech to thunderous applause. She found Ji-hoon in the crowd, smiled just for him, and he felt his carefully constructed ice crack just a little more. After the gala, they returned home to find Amara asleep on the couch, Mrs. Choi reading beside her. The 8-year-old had grown tall, confident, with her mother's strength and her adopted father's protective instincts. She'd started calling Ji-hoon Dad 3 months ago. He'd actually cried the first time. How was it? Mrs. Choi whispered. Perfect, Maya said, kicking off her heels. We raised 3 million, which Ji-hoon donated 2 million of. Mrs. Choi said with a knowing look. That's not the point. Ji-hoon carried Amara to her room, tucked her in, and stood there for a long moment watching her sleep. This child who'd grabbed his hand in the rain and begged him to save her mother. This child who'd taught him he was capable of love. Maya appeared in the doorway. She's fine. Come to bed. He followed her to their room, helped her with the zipper of her gown, kissed the nape of her neck. They fell into bed, exhausted and content. Do you ever regret it? Maya asked in the darkness. Choosing this? Us? Ji-hoon pulled her close, her head on his chest, his hand in her hair. Every day I wake up and choose you again, he said quietly. And every day, it's the easiest choice I've ever made. Even with the violence, the danger, the constant threat. Even with that, he kissed her forehead. You and Amara gave me something I never thought I'd have. A family, a purpose beyond survival, a reason to want to be better. You are better. I'm better with you. He tilted her face up, kissed her softly. I'm still a monster, Maya, but I'm your monster, and I'll burn down the world to keep you safe. I know, she smiled. That's why I married you. They fell asleep tangled together, and Ji-hoon dreamed. Not of blood and violence and the darkness that had defined his life, but of a little girl in a yellow raincoat, pounding on his car in the rain, demanding he save her mother. The moment everything changed, the moment the monster learned to love.